talking about heroes. And this morning, guys, I've got one for you. This is for you guys. We're going to talk about why it's for you. It's kind of, again, ladies, you can enjoy this too. But it's Father's Day, so I got a real guy's guy kind of story this morning and see if you can enjoy that. But we've been talking about heroes. And again, a hero's one who does something great for God. Now, you may have done something great in this world. You may have saved someone from a burning building. We need those kind of people around us. We need those who are fearless and will sacrifice for that person next to them. As Christians, we're supposed to do that. But once in a while, we get these people with just this brave spirit, and they'll just run right into the fire for us. We need a hero like that, but we're talking about heroes for the Lord. Would God say that you're a hero? Would He? If you read Hebrews 11 is replete with examples of who God thinks is great. You want to be one of those. If he ever starts to write again or he wants to talk about somebody great, you want your name part of that. That's where we want to be. This person always was dedicated to me. You don't want to be the bad stories that we've talked about. Those who hated God, did what they wanted, were selfish and pride-filled, and didn't think about anybody else but themselves. That's not who you want to be, because God has a specific place set apart for those. We want to be the one that is always doing good things. Or worst case, be someone like a David or a Solomon who had their great times and they had their bad times. But what made them a hero is they got back on that horse and they understood, I need to get back up and do what I can for the Lord. I have fallen away. Please, Lord, forgive me. That's the most amazing thing that you can do, is say, Lord, please forgive me. I made a mistake again. I can't believe I did this. Lord, please restore me. Give me another chance. Our God is good and He will do that. And He did that with people like David. Again, if He loved David, there's hope for me. And there's hope for this character we're going to talk about today. If He'll do this with this guy, maybe He'll do something great in my life. And so our overall passage for this overall text is in the Romans 15. I want you to say these first two verses with me. You ready? Now we who are strong have an obligation to bear the weaknesses of those without strength, and not to please ourselves. Each one of us must please his neighbor for his good, to build him up. Now, we very quickly reminded us a few weeks back that the reason we're strong is because Christ is in our life. You look at the overall passage of Romans, you understand that the reason we have strength is because we have accepted Christ and we have the ability to do the infinite with God's power behind us. So if you have Christ in your life this morning, you're one of these strong who should be helping the weak. Now, we all become weak once in a while, but the concept here is we're going to help those who don't know who the Lord is share His message in a powerful way. So if you don't know who the Lord is, relax. Maybe He'll show Himself to you, and at the end we could celebrate that you've finally seen Him for the first time. That's the best thing in the world, when someone opens up and says, Lord, come into my life. Because you can guarantee that day on, things are changed. They're not the same. It's going to be a whole new world for you. Well, it is it's an obvious statement that I speak right now, but men and women like different types of movies. Is that true for the most part? Now, understand, usually from the ladies, I'm not hearing the guys saying, ladies are saying, yes, they do. I wish they didn't. I know there's plenty of wives out there like that. But now there are always exceptions to every rule. There may be the ladies out here who love those action flicks, and the guys who just love crying on the couch at the movies. Oh, I just want to cry. It's so beautiful. Why can't we love like that? There's always those kind of guys. But it's not a surprise to any couple here that if you've at any point wrestled over a movie. Again, Cindy and I are pretty passive. We just, don't watch a lot. If we do, we're pretty easy. We can get along with it. But it took us a while. I always used to migrate to Arnold and Sylvester every time. And, she'd want to do something that didn't have Arnold and Sylvester in it every time. And so we had to do with that. But women tend to, you may be that example, that exception, that they tend to women watch movies about relationships and love, for the most part. Okay? Guys tend to watch movies with fire and explosions. Okay? If there's fire in it, it's been a good movie. Okay? But understand, you may have kind of be crossed over, and that doesn't make you wrong. Direct Line is a research company for the movie industry, and what they did is they were commissioned to research to determine what makes a great film for men and women. Now, you can understand if you're putting on a movie, you want to hit as many people as you can. That rating affects a lot of things. What's in the movie, the theme of the movie, who you're trying to reach. You want to make as much money as you can. And so if you're a screenplay person, if you're writing a screenplay out here, and I want to help you with this, let me see if I can get you a little farther in the industry. Here's what women want in their movies. Okay? Now, you may disagree, but this is what they found. Women want happy endings. Okay, isn't that nice? A happy ending. They want sad tearjerker scenes. A little bit of pull, tug on the emotion. The people, are they going to love each other or not? Song and dance scenes. Now, I'm the big exception there. I love going to Broadway musicals. Okay, I'm still the toughest guy in this room. Okay, all day long. I love a good Broadway musical. I'll watch them every time. I just love the music. I love the emotion. So I'll fall into that area there. They want romantic comedy. Psychological thrillers. They don't want really people fighting, but they want to see them thinking about fighting. Okay? They're working through it. Okay? Straight talking male and female partners. I love you and this is why I love you. Okay? Straight talk. They want musicals, animation, tragedy, and disaster. Those are the things they found. So if you're a screenplay writer, I want you to put all those things in there and you've got every woman in America already at your movie. Now let's go to the guy side. Guys, what are you looking for? Okay? Now obviously there's about 2 things in this list that I left out that I cannot talk about in general public church settings. You can guess what those 2 things would be, but we'll continue with the rest of it. Men like car chases. They like action sequences. Okay? Lots of action, lots of fighting, a lot of shaking. Sci-fi fantasy. You know, if it's got stars in it and they're in space, it's even better. So write that thriller in space and you made a few more bucks. Chase scenes are chasing everyone in space. Martial arts, hitting everybody in space. Look at that. Violent, gory scenes. War, shooting, what was it? Moonraker. You got the people in space fighting. That's even better. Okay? They want interrogation. Why'd you do this? I know you killed this guy. No, I didn't kill this guy. I know you did it. Okay, you got the bad guy, cops, all those kind of things. So if you're looking for making a movie, these are the kind of things generally you want to put into it. Okay, I believe people tend to put themselves in the story, and that's what makes the story great. Sometimes, I don't want to think, but sometimes if you can empathize with that character, you know what's going on. Maybe it endears you a little bit more to them. I believe 100 years ago, maybe 200 and more. Men, we probably wouldn't have been focused on these action movies. Now, this is my supposition and nothing else. But you know what? Right now we have nothing to fight. Men, you've got a lot of energy and nothing to do with it. Why do we think young kids are having so much trouble? They're wanting to start mobs because they have nothing to wrestle with. 100 years ago and beyond, we were working 15 hours a day, trying to put food on the table, trying to take care of the family. We didn't have the energy to invest into an action movie. We probably would have liked more tearjerker movies then because we were wrestling to stay alive. Today, we don't have anything like that, and that's my supposition. We fought for existence. We probably would have enjoyed musicals, romantic comedies a little better back then. This morning, we have a story that should appeal to the men in the room. You heard the list. Men, this is for you. I went out on my way to find a good one for you. We're in the book of Judges, so open up there if you've got your Bible. Great, great book. All these great stories. If you've not read through the book of Judges, read it. Read it to your kids. They'll love it. Written by Samuel or one of his prophetic students. He would have had a lot of students with him that would have helped to write. We believe Samuel at least wrote some of it. But there's points where it kind of varies and maybe he didn't. Around 1050 BC, we're about 3,000 years ago. And it's just as powerful today as it was when it was written. This begins the beginning of Saul's reign to David's capture of Israel. So we've got a neat part of history in here. It's wanting to carry the story of Israel from the death of Joshua to the time of Samuel and the beginning of that united kingdom. All of it's starting to come together under David. And we see this beautiful thing of what God's designed it to be. So we're in Judges 3, and we're only going to read one verse, but I want you to honor God's word with me. Please just stand this morning. Judges 3, verse 15. Then the Israelites cried out to the Lord, and he raised up Ehud, son of Gera, a left-handed Benjaminite, as a deliverer for them. The Israelites sent him to Eglon, king of Moab, with tribute money. We'll stop there and we'll finish the story. Let's pray. Dear Lord, you're almighty, and I thank you for this day, Lord. I thank you for Samuel. I thank you for him writing these things down, Lord, chronicling the history of your people so that we can learn from it today. Let us take away what we can, Lord, and be heroes for you. We say this in your name. Amen. Please be seated. excuse me, a little bit of backstory. The book of Judges is about the time before the kings of Israel. It starts off that way. We have the kings, but we have the judges, hence the name of the book. Before we had our first king of Israel, they had several people, different various people, and some of them were women, to judge over. Moses had set a good system up in place to watch the people. Joshua continued that system. We just needed people to keep the system in place. Eventually it starts falling apart. We need kings. But judges ruled Israel at this point. And here we have a left-handed one. How many in this room are left-handed? Anybody raise your hand if you're left-handed? Okay? We're proud of it. We're proud we'll stand up. We're left-handed. Again, everything, if you know, being a lefty, everything is tough. When I was born, my dad bought me a right-handed baseball glove. He never bought me a lefter after that. He said, son, you're going to have to learn how to use it. We're in a right-handed world. Just make it happen. So I stuck this glove on upside down and backwards, and I was pretty good at catching those balls with an upside-down glove. But this is the kind of world we come in. Again, when I was 16, it may have been 17, they bought me a set of golf clubs. What side do you think they got me? They got me a set of right-handed clubs. I had been left-handed for 17 years at this point, and I think they knew that, and yet they got me a set of right-handed clubs, and I'm pretty good with them. I guess I can go either way. It doesn't matter. But this is one of those crazy things. They brought me these things because, son, you're in a right-handed world, learn to deal with it. Okay? The Bible doesn't make left-handedness out to be an evil thing. It doesn't. The Bible just deals with the culture and the time. It's not making you backward or anything like that. It doesn't say that. In fact, in Judges 20:16 it says this: there were 700 choice men who were left-handed among all these people. All could sling a stone at a hair and not miss. I would have liked to have been in that camp. Can you imagine we all had the right kind of scissors? They're not wrestling for scissors. I'm not turning them upside down. You righties would have trouble in that camp because you're looking for scissors, okay? Or left-handed desks. Have you ever been to college? 98% of them are right-handed. So I'm over here crossing around trying to write on this right-handed desk. They got one in the back corner for the lefty, and it's like way in the back. You can't see the board from so far up. Mugs and pens. Have you ever thought about that? When you look at a mug, the logo, if you're right-handed, is looking right at you. Us lefties become advertisers. It's on the other side showing out to the rest of the world. The pens, the writing is upside down for a lefty. For you, you're reading, First Baptist Los Lunas. Look how beautiful that is. Here, I don't know what it says. I have to turn, I think it's First Baptist Los Lunas. You look at these kind of things. Ink. You righties take it for granted, but have you ever written across? By the time you get back, your ink is dried. We're smeared it all over our arms as we write. Again, I would have liked to have been in that camp. Spiral notebooks, can openers, guns. Have you ever thought that, I'm having to push this trigger over here on my left hand to get this thing to sling back? It took me a while to find a gun that went both ways. You take it for granted because everything, 90% of the people out there are right-handed. But the Bible doesn't make it out to be bad. Because 90% of the people are right-handed, most people are stronger on their right hand. Therefore, strength in the Bible is shown on the right side, not the left. And so lefties, I'm going to beat on you a little bit. We can have some fun because we're the minority today. But it's not a bad thing being a lefty. Right-handedness is stronger in the Bible. The culture would have rejected lefties. They would have. Even when I was raised up, you lefties, some older, they may have tried to switch your hands when you were young to make you go the other way. Again, when I was young, I had this big old fat pencil. All the other little kids in kindergarten had a normal pencil. They gave me a big old fat thing. I don't even know. I'm just left-handed. Can I not write with a normal pencil? And so you understand, and I'm not that old, but they thought, oh my goodness, this is awkward. Let's give him some weird pencil. The Bible doesn't deal with that. In the first century, people ate with their right hand, and they cleaned themselves with their left. That's why we shake with our right hand. Okay, you don't want that dirty hand coming at you. Okay? So lefties, you would have been really in a mess trying to eat. The Latin word for left is the word sinistra, which is where we get our word sinister. In Sanskrit, left means wicked. Okay? Lefties, we're hanging together today. In Slavic language, left means unofficial, counterfeit, or strange. And if you've ever seen a lefty sit at a table with a whole bunch of righties, they do look strange, don't they? They're always bumping elbows with everybody. Again, in French, the word gauche means not right, or awkward, lacking of grace, and unofficial. Okay? And so you kind of get the idea of what's going on with lefties. I'm painting the picture of this left-handedness because you've seen that's been passed down through all these generations. Often lefties were thought of as demon-possessed in the first century. They were just crazy and nuts. They got to be the only reason they're writing with that side. So the Bible goes out of its way to say Ehud is a lefty. And at this point, it's not a bad thing. Let's start the story this morning. God uses all kinds. He can even use a crazy lefty to change the world. And that's what we're going to see this morning. We got a great story about a person who should not have done what he did. You understand, this is such a good story because there's so much symbolism in it. We don't read it this way because we don't look. Most of you don't care if you're left or right. It doesn't matter today. 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, it was a huge deal. So God uses all kinds. The first judge of Israel after Joshua died was Othniel. He was raised up by God to be put in this place because Joshua's headed out. Othniel's now their man. And the reason he was put there is because the people of Israel had done what was evil in the sight of the Lord. They tend to do that. You and I tend to do that. We don't do what God wants us to do. Therefore, we're not on the right plane with Him. We're not on the right track. He wants us to be on that good track with Him. He doesn't want us to be the ones that are evil, the ones that are villains against Him. He wants us on track. So He's going to do what He can to bring them back. Othniel was right-handed, and he was strong, and he fought with that right hand. Again, you've got symbolism. Right is strong, left, weak. You can't even move it. I don't even know what this thing does. But right, I can fight a war because I'm right-handed. Where is Christ sitting right now? At the right hand of the Father. Right is strong, left is weak. Okay, lefties, we're hanging together this morning. Othniel was right-handed. Now, after 40 years of peace, Othniel dies. Verse 12. Let's look at that real quickly. This is what we see happening. The Israelites again did what was evil in the sight of the Lord. God gave Eglon, king of Moab, power over Israel because they had done what was evil in the Lord's sight. They can't stay on track. Unless someone's telling them what to do every single day, they're just going to, like you playing that golf when I played with those right-handed clubs, I would send that thing over behind me every time until I got good at it. This is what we see happening. They can't stay on track. Eglon works with various countries to take the possession of Israel. Now, Eglon is not. He is the king of Moab. He is the evil one. He's the conqueror. He owns everything they have, and he works with several kings around to take their things. He's the ruler for 18 years before the children of Israel cry out. You would think the first day that God's not in charge of our country, I'd start getting nervous about this thing. I guess it took them 18 years of losing everything they had to say, finally, God, can you come back? Why is that with us the same way? Why does it take so long for us to get back on track? Why do we have to be so far down this awful path before we finally look up and wonder how we got in the trees? Where is the road? How did I get so far off track? We're just doing this. We're looking at what we want. And that's what the children of Israel had done. They'd forgotten that God was good and that He had provided everything they could ever need. Again, that brings us to this left-handed Benjaminite. Othniel conquered his foes with his mighty right hand. Ehud is asked to further subjugate the people by taking their tribute with his left hand. Again, you look at the symbolism, the depth in this story. There's so much. He is weak. He is left-handed. Let's pick this lefty that's always been the reject to carry our tribute to the king, to show him that we are not powerful at all, and we will do whatever you ask. Again, it's such a great story. The word tribute here is the word manah. And in the Hebrew, it can represent the annual sacrifice. It makes me question whether or not they were sacrificing to God. Were they giving this sacrifice to Eglon? Again, it's supposition. I don't know. But the word can mean annual sacrifice. It also means a portion. We know minimally they were given a portion. You are called, whether you do it or not, that's between you and the Lord, to give a portion of your resources, your time, your energy to the Lord. You're called to do that, and it's a blessing when you can. They were giving what should have been given to the Lord to King Eglon. Not what God wants. So they're asking for tribute. Eglon says it's that time of the year. They could have been tithing at this point to Eglon. It's time giving your money, giving all that you can. Who are we supposed to give to? We're supposed to give to God. And they were giving to Eglon. And at some point in the fog, they woke up. They started praying out again. Please, Lord, what are we doing? How do we get so far off? Now, they're not asking to be removed at this point. They just, at some point, God heard their cries and had this one specific person stand up to do something amazing. Again, it's an amazing story. So Othniel conquered with his right hand. Ehud is just to offer a sacrifice or tribute with his weaker left hand. All symbolism, everything matters in the Bible. Ehud was symbolic for weakness. He was deformed. He was a reject of society. Whether we believe that today or not, he was. They would have done everything they can. The parents would have done all they could to hide that. How do we keep that left hand down? Let's make that right one strong, where he does everything with it so no one knows. His whole world's going to be affected by this one simple thing. To you and I, it's kind of a joke. We don't understand the depth, but for 3,000 years ago, this was everything. They are showing their weakness before King Eglon by sending a lefty to offer and take the tribute. He was deformed. He was a reject. They are not revolting. They're further subjugating themselves to King Eglon by showing how weak they are. They didn't send a strong right-handed man, but a weak one with their left hand. It's not simply by Ehud that they offer this tribute, but by his hand. Understand, a hand is a huge deal in the Bible. It shows strength or weakness. And this guy was supposed to be weak. He wasn't worth anything. You can guarantee his life was hard. Now, there are real reasons today why people's lives would be hard. But back then, this person was considered demon-possessed. The parents would have probably tried to get rid of him. How do we get Ehud out of here? He's bringing down the family. He's bringing curses from the gods. Oh, get rid of the lefty. You know, don't shake my hand. You've been washing yourself with it. Don't do those kind of things. Again, his right, which is weaker, represents a conquered people. He will be bringing a surprise in his left hand. Surprise. You know, we don't know what that is yet. It's such a great story. Are you the surprise that God's going to use? Are you that surprise? I wish you were. I would love for every one of you to be that surprise that the world would never expect you to do what you do. You're the one who's about to change the world. You're the one who's about to change your block, your community, your whole business, your whole people, all the people that you work with are about to be changed from inside out because you're willing to stand up for what God has for you. Are you that one? Ehud is never the one anyone would expect to do anything great. His life from the beginning was set out to be the rejection that no one would ever listen to. He's about to show them different. Are you that kind of person, the one that no one expects anything? Oh, this person didn't have all that education. This person doesn't have the background. They've never stood strong. This person just tends to be timid and weak. But God's about to make you a mighty person for Him. I want that for you because there's no better place to be. Let's see what happens to Ehud. Let's see if we can track through this. Have you been written off by the world, but God will do something great for you? I hope so. I hope you're that person. God uses all kinds of people, all kinds. A hero will also improvise. Let's go on here. Look at verse 16. Ehud made himself a double-edged sword, 18 inches long. He strapped it to his right thigh under his clothes. Now, do you think this is just a hobby he has? You know, got a metalcraft set. I got nothing else to do before I make this tribute. I'm just going to make a knife, 18 inches long, strap it to my right thigh. I mean, this is the kind of guy he is. He has a hobby. You know, who doesn't love a good metalcraft kit? He straps it to his right thigh, which if you're a lefty, even if you understand and you flip the things to the right, if I were to, you know, I've got a concealed carry. If I ever carry it, I carry it on the side that I'm dominant on. My left side. I'm not going to put a gun over here and try to pull it out, you know. And I probably won't be as coordinated with the right. It's the same kind of thing. Why would he strap it to his right side? He probably, when you look at it, when he went before King Eglon, he went out of his way to show he was left-handed, so they wouldn't even check anything but his left side. But when a lefty comes in before the king, you don't expect anything out of him anyway. He's the reject. He's the one no one's going to think about. So why would you even look at him? But he probably went out and he waved at everybody with his left hand. Hey guys, I can't shake. I'm sorry. I'm shaking with the wrong hand. He went as left as he could, so they wouldn't check his right side. You know, who knows what he's going to do with this? Maybe he just likes to be ready for the animals when they come and he's walking across the country. I don't know. But he straps it to his right hand. Left-handedness was considered weak and not a threat. So at this point, a delegation goes to Eglon. He's expecting his tribute, whether it's his offering, whether it is a portion of everything. We know minimally it's going to be a portion of everything they've got. Anything that's good in the nation will be given to King Eglon of Moab. So it's interesting in the word Eglon in Hebrew, it means calf. He was like a fatted calf. He was big. This man was not small at any point. He was huge, okay? So this large delegation comes before, and they bring the tribute. They lay it all at his feet, or they put it in the storehouses, whatever, but they're supposed to go before the king. They bring their gold, their silver, their resources, any grain, whatever it is that they were supposed to bring us before him. And they began to leave, and all the delegation. It's a large group of people. And Ehud is the weak one, supposed to say, yes, sir, we gave everything. Is there anything else I can do for you today? Okay, sorry. We'll bring it. We'll be ready next year too. That's what they expect out of Eglon. But he says, guys, going home. I got a little bit of business here to do. You're going home. I'll see you in a little bit. I'll catch up with you. They probably thought he didn't have the ability to catch up with him because he's a lefty. But at this point, they begin to leave, but Ehud turns back. So let's go to verses 18 and 19. It says this, when Ehud had finished presenting the tribute, he dismissed the people who had carried it. At the carved images near Gilgal, he returned and said, King Eglon, I have a secret message for you. The king called for silence, and all his attendants left him. He says, I have a dabar. Now, the word in the Hebrew, this Bible translated as secret message. And the word dabar can mean secret message, or it can mean a thing. I got something for you. Got something for you. I need to give this to you. You see, the guy's not as dumb as he looks. Okay, just because he's lefty, he's not that dumb. He's got a double meaning. I've got a message for you, which is probably what King Eglon thought. Okay, they're going to bring more stuff, and I need to watch them. Or, but he's saying, I'm bringing you something that you don't know. It can mean a thing. Ehud was weak and left-handed, but he was smart. Now, let me encourage you lefties, since I'm beating on us this morning. Out of the last 12 presidents, 6 have been left-handed. Okay? 50%. Okay? Only 10% of the population's a lefty, so I think we're not doing too badly today. Hang in there, lefties. There's still hope for us. But at this point, he didn't have much hope. Ehud says, I've got a thing for Eglon. It's got this double entendre going on. So what could this thing be? Ehud wasn't a threat. They didn't even check him. If they did, they would have checked. Okay, there's nothing on his left side. If he's going to pull from over there. Go on in there. Talk to the king. The king wasn't even concerned. He was left-handed. He wasn't that smart. Not much going for this guy. I'm amazed the king even let him talk to him because he would have been the reject of society. But go on to verse 20. Then Ehud approached him while he was sitting alone in his room upstairs where it was cool. Ehud says, I have a word from God for you. And the king stood up from his throne. Now, again, this guy was big, so probably standing up was pretty tough at this point. But we see that Ehud, he says, I have a word. That's that same Hebrew word, dabar. I have the Bible here translated as word. It could have very easily been, he's meaning, I have a thing for you, and it's coming 18 inches long. Get ready for this. God uses all kinds, even a crazy lefty from the tribe of Benjamin. Not much happened from the tribe of Benjamin. It wasn't the tribe of Judah. It wasn't the Levites. Again, we've got a guy from a tribe no one really cares much about, and a lefty, the reject of the tribe. What do you expect out of that guy? Again, probably King Eglon was just wanting to taunt him and have a little bit of fun with him. He had nothing else going that day. So let's joke with him. So God uses all kinds. A hero will improvise. Finally, a hero must bring justice. Every time you must bring justice. Again, if you were young when I was, at the same time there was a show on TV, and they've changed it now. It was a little cheesier then, called the Justice League. A group of superheroes that work to keep the world safe. Superman, Batman, these are all the DC guys. Aquaman, Flash, Green Lantern, Green Arrow, Atom, Hawkman, and Martian Manhunter. They never had Martian Manhunter much on when I was growing up. They all work together to bring just behavior and treatment to mankind. That's what justice means. Just behavior and treatment. Is this what Ehud's going to do? Is he sick and tired of what's happening to his people? Is he the only one who sees what God wants for the world? Is he the only one who's looking to God saying, okay, Lord, I'll do whatever you say. I know you'll never use me. And I know many of you would probably say that, God, I'm not good enough. I know you'll never use me, but I'm willing. That's the only person God needs. Doesn't mean about your talent, your strength, your resources. It doesn't matter what your education is or your background. God can use the left-handed Benjaminite to change the world for his people. He can do that with every one of you this morning if you're willing. If you're ready to be willing and used by God, He can do that. So is Eglon looking for a job? Is he going to tell, is Ehud looking for a job? Is he going to tell Eglon that, hey, you're doing a great job and that's my word for you. I sure appreciate all you're doing for the Israelites. Let's see what happens here. What happens? 22. Ehud reached with his left hand, took the sword out from his right thigh and plunged it into Eglon's belly. Even the handle went in after the blade, and Eglon's fat closed in over it, so that Ehud did not withdraw the sword from his belly, and Eglon's insides came out. Guys, that was for you this morning. Okay? There was your movie. You don't even need to go into the movies today. I took care of you. He buried that 18-inch sword into Eglon where it disappeared, and he couldn't get it out. This is a little bit of pent-up energy. This is a little bit of frustration. This is probably a righteous anger. He is sick of Eglon. He's sick of him doing this to God's people, and he's going to take care of it with every ounce of his weak energy with that left hand. He used it all to take care of that guy. He had been through enough. It would not take Eglon and his ownership of them any longer. He has probably been put down all his life. He was sent to the back of the line. He wasn't picked on teams. You know what it is as a kid, not being picked on as a team. That was me a lot of the time. But at this point, he's going to be the conqueror. He's going to be the one everyone looks to. He is the reluctant hero, but no one else would stand up and do it. Is that where you are? I want us to be the people that God's called us to be. So when He says something specific for us to do, we do it. We're not the reluctant one that no one else will. I want us, in every person in this room, to be that kind of person. If God calls you to do it, you take care of it. If He's called you to do it, you shouldn't have to do it. Simple enough. But once in a while, God raises up someone because this is where we need to be. You're the one I need at this point. No one's going to expect you. Can you imagine walking in before Eglon? A right-handed person would have never got in as close as he would have. They wouldn't have. They would have watched him like a hawk. Because right represented strength. You got this big young guy coming in who's right-handed. They're going to have a dozen guards on him, and King Eglon's going to be protected. But you got this lefty, the one no one expects anything. Oh, go on in. Okay, we'll be outside when it's all done. He'll send you out quickly enough. It was his deformity that allowed him to be great. It was his deformity that allowed him to get before the king. You keep thinking that you can't do something mighty. It may be that weakness in you that allows God to use you like He can't use anyone else. That may be you've been held back all your life because of whatever this thing is. Your background, your socioeconomic background, or the way your family brought you up, or your educational experiences, or there's a physical issue with you, whatever that is. You've been held back, but it may be that God can use that to do something no one else can do. Ehud was the only one who could get before the king. Any righty in the Israelite nation, except for those 720 earlier we talked about who were the warriors. All the rest of them would have never gotten before the king like he did. This is what we see. His deformity allowed him to be great. Verse 23. So what happens? Ehud escaped by the way of the porch, closing and locking the doors of the upstairs room behind him. He gets away and he returns to his people. Now, again, the question is, where were the guards in all this? And if you read all the verses that I missed, they thought he was going to the bathroom. Evidently, he spent a lot of time in there. They didn't want to bother him while he was taking a time and relaxing a little bit. Eventually, he's in there too long. And they get concerned. They start knocking on the door. Ehud, you all right? Eglon, you all right in there? Everything going all right? And they break it down. They find out the king's got they see him bleeding and everything's coming out, but he's got a sword in there somewhere. Okay, something happened, and he's just all over the place. Again, they start sounding the horn. When Ehud gets back, I guess at some point he catches up with the delegation or gets home after them, or he may get home before them. I don't know. But he runs back to Israel where all the people are, and they sound the horn. I brought a shofar into my group because we were talking about the shofar this morning in the Bible study. And so that's what they would have blown. There would have been a certain sound that everyone around would have known. Now, what had just happened? Ehud had just taken the tribute. So at this point, if they're hearing the horn, knowing the tribute's being taken, you can guarantee they're terrified. Oh my goodness, King Eglon didn't take it. He's angry with us. He didn't take our tribute. We're going to have to come up with more. We don't have anything else. Or is he going to start a war with us because we didn't give him enough? Who knows what they're thinking? They were terrified at this point. They had to come back together. They probably thought, I've got to come up with more tribute. We've given everything we can give. These are not a strong people. God is what makes these people strong. And they've forgotten him at this point for a long time, 18 years. They really haven't looked to him. They've allowed the king to rule their lives. At this point, they're hearing this horn, something they don't hear very often. But what they don't know is they're about to go to war. And the lefty is going to take them there. Go to verses 28 to 30. This is what happens. He told them, follow me because the Lord has handed over your enemies, the Moabites, to you. Can you imagine? They had no idea. They just gave everything they can. They got nothing else left. And this lefty comes in saying, the Lord's about to do something great. He has handed him over. We heard that with Joshua this morning in that passage. The Lord has handed you the city of Jericho. It's already yours. You just don't know it yet. This is what Ehud is saying. He is a natural leader, the one they would never have expected. But at this point, he's the one who took care of it. The king is now dead. He's going to be their leader. He is the second judge of Israel. He becomes their judge. Let me finish these verses here. Again, at that time, they struck down about, let me go back here. They captured the fords of the Jordan leading to Moab and did not allow anyone to cross over. At that time, they struck down about 10,000 Moabites, all strong and able-bodied men. Not one of them escaped. Moab became subject to Israel that day, and the land was peaceful for 80 years because of the reject that no one expected anything out of. Right now, many of you in this room have been beat on by the world. I know you have. I know some of your stories, and I know how you feel about your life, and I know how you feel about yourself. Sadly enough, our circumstances tend to dictate how we feel about ourselves. You need to get beyond it. We're making jokes this morning about lefties because our society doesn't think anything about it. So what? It's a big deal. No big deal. Back then, it was everything. It affected the whole family line. You did all you could to get rid of the lefties. Get rid of this person. This is the deformed one we want to hide in the closet when the neighbors come over. This is what we see happening. God used a deformed, weak, second-class citizen to liberate his people. No matter what you think about your life, no matter what you think about your circumstances right now, God sees value in you and God can do amazing things through you. Only if you're willing. Only if you're willing. No matter who you are. You may have no energy left in your body, but God can do powerful things if you're willing to let him. I want to remind you that God is not restricted by the rules of this world. If the world's rejected you, that doesn't mean a thing to God. You can do mighty and powerful things if you're willing. If you're willing and you'll listen to him and be guided by him. If he can use this deformed, weak, second-class citizen to liberate his people and become the second judge of Israel, you can guarantee even the people once in a while say, why would he have ever used Ehud? But he got us out of it, I guess. Why? This guy's stronger. This guy's bigger. This guy can throw that sling at a hare. But no, they use the weak one. If he can do that, that gives me hope. I may have the ability to do something for God, but only if I keep my eyes focused on him. You only have strength. We are to be strong because we have Christ in us. We're listening to him every day. We're staying 2 feet behind him. I don't want to be out. Nothing makes me more frustrated. I do fly. And nothing makes me more frustrated when I see those bumper stickers, God is my co-pilot. Why do I want him to be second seat? I want him flying that thing. I want to be back in the back making margaritas. Okay? Now, I don't drink margaritas, but you know what I'm saying. I want to be in the back enjoying the ride. Because God can fly that thing 10 times better than I can. The pilot does all the decisions. The co-pilot's just there in case the pilot can't do something. Why would I want God to be there? I want to be in the back, sitting up, watching the TV as God guides me to wherever my destination is. This is the kind of people we need to be. Let God be in charge. Let him take it. Have you been a second-class citizen all your life? It can stop right now. Doesn't matter what the world says. God has something mighty for you. Do you want to be a leader? Do you want to be a hero? You may be that reluctant one, that one no one to guess. I look forward to seeing that. I pray for that for all of you over this congregation. Lord, bring out some crazy heroes out of this group of people. Group of people, just a bunch of sweet people to get together. But there are some powerful people in this room. If you're willing to stand up and be used, whatever side you throw from, if you're willing to be used, God can do something mighty. Is that you this morning? Again, trust God. Allow Him to do great things in your life.